the temple, a few portions of that do remain. Remember, of course, the story of the Romans marching in, destroying Herod's temple, and a portion of the retaining wall, not the temple, but the retaining wall, is seen here in what's referred to often as the Wailing Wall or the Western Wall. The upper portion that you can just barely see, the smaller stones, was built by the Crusaders. The midsection was done by Hadrian, but the lower section, the much bigger, more elaborate stones, were laid down by Herod, and actually they continue about 30 feet below the street level there. You can't see all of it, but here are some of those large stones that Herod built, and you can see the bosses around the edges. The southern extremity of that same wall was excavated about 15 years ago, and it's really interesting. Again, you see the small stones up top that were done by the Crusaders, and then at the base, Herod's wall. But notice this structure here in the side. It probably looked like this. In fact, there's real good indication that it did. It's referred to as Robinson's Arch. He excavated and found this a good while back, about 100 years ago, though they had not excavated below that. But this is where that arch connected and led to shops, the first century shops that are down here in the foreground, arched over a first century street. But all of where the Crusaders have built here, there were huge buildings, very elaborate buildings, that came tumbling down when the Romans destroyed this. Again, not the temple walls, but here the retaining wall around the temple. And what we see at the base of that wall then is where those huge stones hit that first century street and just pummeled it, destroyed it, which is exactly what we read about in Scripture. So those walls, together with the fact they have fallen, all testifies to just exactly what we read about in Scripture. As we read the description of the Temple Mount and the Pool of Siloam and this area of the city of David, we read of the stairs that go down to the pool. Nehemiah 3, when they're rebuilding it, spoke of the Pool of Siloam and the stairs that go down from the city of David. Well, about 10 years ago, a Bible-believing archaeologist excavated on the south side where they would be going down and found the stairs that go down, according to the Scriptures, to the Pool of Siloam. Now, it's about half a mile down there, and so we haven't got all of them, but they began looking at these stairs. Now, these would be significant. These are the stairs Jesus stood on. These are the stairs the apostles stood on. Right here is the Gate Beautiful, the edifice built into it, covering it up, built by, guess who? Queen Helena, Constantine's mother, who made all kinds. Why did she build? I'm not sure. I don't know. But she covered up the Gate Beautiful. But right below where that area is where the lame man in Acts chapter 3 jumped up. And that's where Peter and John were preaching. As we turn to the right, we can see those stairs extending along the southern extent of the Temple Mount and toward Mount of Olives in the background. We're reminded of the statement that from the temple to the Mount of Olives was a Sabbath day's journey. How long is that? Well, there it is. You can see. And as you turn back around to the right again, you see down those stairs toward the city of David, actually a little bit more to the right. Going down those stairs, we have sunk shafts, and those stairs do continue all the way down to the Pool of Siloam, though we couldn't find them as we neared the pool. This is referred to in John 9, where Jesus told the blind man, "Go wash in the Pool of Siloam." As we suggested in 2004, we finally found the real pool, which is this green area covered by the fig trees and the pomegranates, owned by the Anglican Church, who say, "This is our fig tree grove and you can't have it." We're negotiating at this point. But in June of 2004, they were repairing a sewer pipe, and as they did, they found these steps going down. Elie Sucron immediately recognized this as the Pool of Siloam, though he was ridiculed by many. By November of that year, when we were there, we took this picture. Obviously, much more had been excavated. And then by June of 2005, it looked like this. Now, we still don't have a permit. We have a permit to fix the sewer pipe, and so we're fixing the daylights out of that sewer pipe. But this is what we believe the pool looked like from some shafts that we have been able to sink in various areas. You could have baptized 3,000 people there all at the same time. A magnificent pool. The Temple Mount is back to the left. This escarpment over here is blocking the way. And where are the stairs that go up to the Temple Mount? Well, there were stairs that we found over here, and they led to a plaza with a colonnade, and we thought, well, maybe they go this direction and then they turn and go back to the north. The more we excavated, the more we realized that was not the case. But here is the extension, as we showed, that goes all the way down to the Pool of Siloam. We have been excavating there since 2004, and here's my wife working with Ronnie Rach here in the red shirt, one of the supervisors. And this is the way it looked this past June. Obviously a huge pool, but where are the stairs? Well, this escarpment over here on the right is blocking the way, and we kept looking. Here's the description again from Nehemiah chapter 3. He repaired the wall by the Pool of Siloam, the steps going down from the city of David. Well, here we see one of the supervisors marching toward the area, and this arrow is pointing to what was found just a few months ago. There was an area in this escarpment that was just a little too symmetrical. It had been filled in with the debris from the destruction of Jerusalem, and it covered over this huge tunnel that went through the escarpment. And so you see the wooden stairs there just barely that lead right up to that area. And as we stepped through that, we saw, wow, there are the stairs that we've been looking at that go right on up to the Temple Mount. We learned more about that from Josephus, who describes these stairs and a tunnel that's underneath them. It was a sewage tunnel originally, but here we read news had reached him that many had earlier escaped from the sieges of Jerusalem and collect there. But they were trying to get out of Jerusalem when siege was laid by the Romans. Arriving there at the spot, that is the Romans, they found these Jews who were in this tunnel down under the stairs, and he ordered the infantry to break down into the streets under the stairs, and you can see where the holes are broken there in the stairway. And they poured boiling oil down into the tunnel and killed 3,000 Jews, according to Josephus. Of course, many more killed in the siege, but this was one of the tragedies. We can go into that tunnel, we can see where they were, and here you see the stairs above them and the tunnel below. And that has been extended in the last few months, and it gets much larger, about 10 feet high. Notice the statement by Eli Sukron, who's one of the directors there, the city of David. He says, many of the Jews tried to escape Jerusalem. When the Romans pursued them, they broke the flagstones, descended into the canals of the drainage system, hiding for days at a time, as described by Josephus Flavius. You know what we discovered here in the tunnels? We found cooking vessels, pots with the remains of food inside, which Josephus, by the way, had mentioned. Stone vessels, other objects still preserved from that era. Our assumption is that these vessels were used by the Jews who were hiding there until they were caught by the Roman soldiers. Now, if you look in our artifact room, you'll see one of those pots that he refers to, that the Jews were carrying with them when they were burned alive in the tunnel. A much larger portion has just been revealed and was announced September the 11th of this year. And so this is an ongoing saga. But we found it because we believe what the Bible said. And we're looking exactly where the Bible said it should be, and that's where we found it. Let me mention one more thing before we conclude this evening. This was announced in the New York Times in 2005. King David's palace is found. The thing that Kenyon said is not there, don't look, just